Creative Friday, and it's brought to you by the Impact Hub Lagos IHL, Africa Business Radio and G Networks. A round of applause for everyone. This is the first series. I firstly want to apologize for the delay in time. You know, this is Africa, so you expect it. But we thank God that everyone is here in good health. So thank you very much. Please, we're about to start, so let's get on to it. My name is Michael Musa. I am the Chief Operations Officer of Africa Business Radio. You're welcome to this event hosted by our honorable Hoppers, Impact Hub. Thank you very much for having us today, sir. Yeah, so today we're having the first series of Creative Fridays. Creative Fridays will be happening every last Friday of every month. And today's theme is tech and the creative industry. So let me give you a brief of what Creative Friday is all about. It's a series of business-focused conversations on Africa's creative industry, which features people in the creative space, both male and female. So we're talking about the industry of media, music, movies, advertisements, communication, and brand management. So we want this to be the beginning of a new generation of creatives in our country. We can't keep on complaining about what's happening in our country. Like, for instance, the dollar rose yesterday, guys. This is for those who have dollars in their accounts. But it's actually coming in our country. So we're coming up to make sure that we as youths, Gen Zs and Gen Ys, we're coming over to make sure that everything works for our future and for our children. So today, this program, as I said initially, is being hosted by Impact Hub Lagos, Africa Business Radio and G Networks. So we'll start off with what the Creative Friday is all about. I'll have to bring Mr. Soji Akinlabi, who's the CEO of Africa Business Radio, to come to the podium. Thank you very much. Round of applause for him.
Thank you very much. Okay, I don't like to do this, but I have to. Typically, like Michael said, the whole agenda is to talk about the business of media, not just media, creative industry generally across Africa. With an obvious bias to Nigeria and West Africa. It's easy to talk about the creative industry from the angle of the talent, but when it comes to about the business of the creative industry, talk about what do the media owners, what do they go through, the owners of agencies, what are their problems, what are the challenges, how are they surviving, who are the guys making money, and how are they making money, and generally also to share ideas as to how we can progress and how we can develop our businesses. I think for me, I believe that a monthly conversation, a platform that kind of like presents you the opportunity to have this conversation will be something that will be beneficial to every media owners, to the players within the creative industry in Nigeria. The creative industry in Nigeria is a multi-million-dollar industry. But who are the guys making money and how are they making money? If you compare it to the rest of Africa, for example, Ghana. Ghana is a small country. How big is their creative industry compared to South Africa? Even though Nigeria is the biggest economy in Africa, but you find that the creative industry in those other countries are much more organized. They're bigger in terms of revenue. They're better in terms of structure. Things work. And for us in Nigeria, where are things now working and what can we do? And specifically for this edition, we're focusing on technology. How do we leverage technology to improve our businesses as media owners, as owners of agencies? Talk about Mr. Chimbi. Is into infrastructure that powers the industry? What has happened pre-COVID and post-COVID? All this conversation and more, I think this platform will offer the opportunity to some of us who are stakeholders within the industry to come together and rub minds. And I hope that we're able to get as much as we have said we could get from this. Especially in this particular edition, there's been a lot of challenges, bringing this to reality. So that's about what the Creative Friday is about. And okay, so Africa Business Radio. It's difficult to describe what we are because we started differently. And in the last 30 years, we've kind of like, we've metamorphosed to something else. And I think the reason for that is because of the environment where we are, especially in Nigeria. And I think for us, it was important that we reimagine our business like that. So I would say we're not a radio station, like people would think. We're more of a digital media platform. We provide much more around digital audio solutions to businesses and also to other creatives, from the production to the distribution to infrastructure that also power, the entire, digital audio space. I also like to believe that we are the pioneer of podcast for business in Africa. I'm proud to say that. We've done better than some other guys even outside of Nigeria in terms of providing podcast solutions to businesses, to corporates generally. Am I good? Yeah. Thank you very much.
Well spoken, so this is a man with a large heart and very shy. Thank you very much, sir. Yes, so we'll move on to the next agenda. We'll call on, for the impact of introduction, Ms. Stephanie Dan Okafor, our community lead. Did I get that right? Yes. All right, a round of applause for our person.
Thank you, Mickey. Good afternoon, everyone. Like Mickey said, my name is Stephanie Dan Okafor. I am the community lead here at Impact Hub Lagos. So what is Impact Hub Lagos all about? First of all, Impact Hub Lagos is a part of a global network. So there's an Impact Hub presence in over 100 cities around the world. 100 cities, I'm not lying, there's so many of us. So being a member of the Impact Hub network means that you have an opportunity to basically work from all around the world, depending on what your business needs that you have for your business. So here at Impact Hub Lagos, we like to say that we provide 3 pillars for our community members. So the first is we provide the infrastructure. There's so many people, so many entrepreneurs, so many startups, so many freelancers that are looking for a place to work. We know that we have a lot of struggles in Nigeria with our basic necessities like power, good working internet and all that. So we try to provide that solution and making a great space for people to work. And then the next that we provide is capacity building programs. So we are an incubator as well as an accelerator. So we provide different solutions to help your business thrive and scale up. And lastly, we provide a community. So we like to encourage all of our members to collaborate. And so this is one of the opportunities that we provided for our members. So when ABR, Africa Business Review, came up to us and said they had this idea for Creative Friday, and could we support them in any way that we could to make this come to fruition. So we're always there to encourage our members to pursue different endeavors and just to make sure that whatever needs that their businesses have, whatever value that we can add, that we're doing that. So we'd love to have you guys be a member of the Impact Hub Lagos community if you aren't already a member. So you can see me after this and we can have a quick conversation on how you can be part of a network of global entrepreneurs and innovators. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Stephanie. I must say Impact Hub has really contributed to so many SMEs, both small and large scale, who are doing a lot. I mean, their projects are enormous, from hackathons to stuff with the German agencies and all that. Thank you very much, sir. And Mr. Patrick, thank you very much, sir. He's a very, very quiet person, still on the side. I'll see you. Shout out to him. Thank you very much. We're moving on to the next, one of the last, not the least, because we're open to more partners coming in. We have G Networks, and I'll call on the podium the CEO of G Networks, Mr. Chindi Chi Ezioku. Like it,
You pronounce it.
I think we should start giving Mickey for that. You are not what he's trying to pronounce.
My apologies, sir. I'll pay for it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, thank you for coming for this event. Genius is a technology company and we're focused on the media space. We provide solutions for broadcast, media-based platforms, OTT platforms, and one of the driving force of what we do is looking at how we can make content consumption in Africa possible and how creatives can monetize their content. The biggest problem you have in Africa today, people talk about having about 1 billion population and half of that, think about how many millions of that numbers are youths, about 33.6 million. 33.7 million are youth. Now, as a creative, you create a content, but you find it difficult to sell to 10,000 people. Nigeria is about 200 million people. Yet, Iroko TV suffered from reaching how many people? 5,000 to consume a video-based content. Now, we think that Netflix coming into the market is going to improve anything. No. And most of us who are in the creative industry feel like, oh, let's sell our content to Netflix because that's the only best way to get returns for our content. But let's look at it. How many movies will Netflix buy? How many content producers will Netflix really pay? So when you look at the African continent and you look at the number of content creators in Africa and look at the percentage that have their movies on Netflix, it's insignificant. How many African movies are on Netflix? Let's count. So when you take that number, it's so small. And the truth of the matter is that Netflix is not making money out of the local consumption in Africa. They are only taking the African content to sustain their subscribers outside of Africa. So how many creatives will survive from waiting for Netflix or Amazon or you name any of these foreign OTT platforms to make their money from it? Very few. The solution for us in Africa is for Africans to begin to create the technology platform that will drive local consumption. Mr. Soji and I were talking about some of the problems in terms of podcast consumption in Africa. A lot of content creators in Africa want to create podcasts, but how can they make their money from it? Trust me. Apple, what do you call this Apple streaming platform? Apple Music will not give a content creator in Africa, mark my word, $1 million to create podcast. It will never happen. Apple will keep investing in content creators in America and pay them $1 million plus just to create content for Apple Music. And the rest of us in Africa who are trying to put our content on Apple Music will wait for how much money is generated from people listening to our content. The reason is this. Don't expect the Europeans to build Africa for you. Africans have to build Africa. And until we begin to think about the market we have inside and stop looking at the market that we do not know outside, I don't think we will solve the problem of content monetization for African content creators. And the only solution is for us as Africans to begin to look at technology-based solution, how we can take technology to create a revenue stream for African content creators. Thank you.
Well said, Mr. Chimdi. Thank you very much for that. So we're moving on. Moving on to the panelist introduction. I'll have Mr. Soji Akinlabi to come and moderate that. We have loaded speakers who will give you a lot of information today, so fasten your seatbelt, everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael. So like I said before, we're looking at tech and the creative industry today. And I think from our perspective, I think we've assembled a panel of professionals who've got track records, and they've done quite well, within the industry, especially here in Nigeria. Unfortunately, one of our speakers today will not be able to make it, Jonathan, who's supposed to speak around the broadcast industry. Having said that, we have three people who will be joining me today on the panel. We have I think I need to pronounce it properly. Okay.
My handwriting like signatures.
Okay, I'll start with Mr. Obina. Mr. Obina is the creative director of Red TV. Please join us. And the only lady, Yeti Ogunubi. Yeti is the CEO of YB Company.
Round of applause, please.
And we have Mr. Chindi. I want to have my attention.
Don't attempt it.
Mr. Chindi is the CEO of G Network. All right. Okay, so okay, microphones are here. All right. So very quickly, I would sorry, wait for the moment. All right, very quickly. Very quickly, I will go through the profile of profiles. I'll begin with Mr. Chindi. Thank you very much. All right, thank you very much. Like I said, Mr. Chindi is creative director of Red TV.
Don't swap our roles.
No. All right, Mr. Obina, I'll begin with you. Can you just tell us a bit more about yourself? I don't want to include the profile I have here.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's about 10 paragraphs. Just tell us briefly about yourself.
Sorry, am I audible? Can you hear me? And many things. My day job is creative director at Red TV. Red TV is a Pan-African lifestyle entertainment channel that is powered by the United Bank for Africa (UBA) that has obviously presence in 3 continents, now Dubai, and 20 African countries: Paris, France, and America. So Essentially, what I do is work at the intersection of lifestyle entertainment,
Okay.
working with creatives to showcase pretty much the best stories coming out of Africa. You know, for film, in fashion, you know, reality TV, you know, feature films, short films, documentaries, and things like that. But aside from that, a film, I'm a cinephile, I'm a film buff. I'm a music composer, I play music, an art director, you know, video artist, visual artist, and I love football, and that's what I do in my spare time.
What team?
I'm a Manchester United fan.
Oh.
Sorry,
I've been a United fan since 1995, so.
That's why you work for Red TV.
So that's about that. And I love to meet people and connect.
Before Red TV, what were you doing? Where were you?
What were you? Okay, where was I? Not you. So I used to work for the Tony Elumelu Foundation as a brand programs manager. And in that role, I pretty much was working on the $100 million fund for 10,000 entrepreneurs over 10 years. So pretty much I was working, creating a lot of all the brand messaging for that program. You know, I worked on that project for about 9 months. Then I went to work for Hess Holdings. From Hess Holdings, I moved to
You were within the same family.
essentially, it's just within the same ecosystem. So,
Yeah. Thank you very much. All right, I'll move to Yeti. Yeti, like I said, is the CEO of YB Company. Please tell us a bit about Yeti.
Hello everyone, great to be here. My name is Yeti Ogunubi, Yeti Oyinola Ogunubi. I'm the founder for the YB Company, and also the YB Company is a PR, a brand and communications agency. We started off as fashion, focusing on fashion, but over the years we've expanded. We work more with corporate companies, and also we are focusing on the luxury side of things now. We represent brands like the Lagos Continental, CR2 Residence and Spa, Styles, and a number of other organizations. We also work with startups as well. Majorly because I'm passionate about building brands. I was an entrepreneur myself in the fashion space in the UK, and also communications director of Africa Fashion Week London with Brands Impact in Nigeria. So I'm glad to be here and to converse with everybody.
I mean, what Yeti is now saying is that some of the biggest events and conferences supporting women in Lagos, she's the brain behind them in terms of communication and PR and all of that. She just slipped down. All right, quickly, move to Mr. Chimdi. I mean, what I know about him is just all about the infrastructure, tech infrastructure for the media industry. I think we quite a lot of time engaging around what can be done and how do we begin to build local infrastructure to power for the creative industry in Africa. I just allow you to introduce yourself.
I think I've done that introduction already when I introduced G Networks. So what we focus on is providing technology-based solution for the media industry. And Obi and I had years of working together from Tony Elumelu Foundation to UBA and then Red TV. It's been quite an interesting experience coming into Nigeria and Africa as a whole to look at how to bring forth technology-based solution for the media and broadcast industry. When I started out from the Nigerian television school, NTA TV College in Jos. Yeah, so that's where I started out. That's where I started my broadcast journey. While in Jos, one of the major problems I found out was everything was just backward. We were not moving with the pace of the changing technology in the broadcast industry. Now, one of the things they will teach you in NCTV College in Jos is, oh, Nigeria was the first color, started the first colored TV broadcasting in Africa, even before France. But the question that nobody answers, yes, we started color television broadcasting before most European countries caught up with it. But where are we today compared to those European countries? We're way behind. Some of the equipment we found out, I got to meet in NCTV College, which was so outdated that you're wondering, how would I fit into the real work environment? Now, one of my lecturers in TV College just once told me and said, please do not work for NTA. Yeah. That's an NTA staff telling you don't work for NTA, and why? He said, NTA is the graveyard of great minds. Wow. And that shows how far behind the pioneers and those who are driving broadcast and media in the country are falling behind. So that got me thinking, what do we do? So I had to make up my mind that no, I wasn't going to sit back in Nigeria, so I left for India to study media technology, and the whole driving force was how do we change the narrative in Nigeria. So I spent 6 years in Asia after studying. I worked within India, Singapore, Sri Lanka, it's all across Asia. And in 2010, I felt like, no, why am I in another man's country and continent working for them? Why don't I come back to Africa? Let's started G Networks in Nigeria. My younger brother here joined me, left everything he was doing to join me to run G Networks, and it's been a very, very difficult journey. One, it's a mindset problem. A lot of us in Nigeria unconsciously defer to the quote white man. So when you see a fellow Nigerian trying to tell you how things should work, you don't want to listen because it's not white skin, it's not, you didn't fly in with first class from California or from Florida. Yeah, or it's not white. They talk to the white guys in Johannesburg, Africans in Johannesburg, it's terrible. And you need to see that they bring you, now that's the painful side of it. The guys in Johannesburg will bring you equipment they stopped using.
And they will scope.
Yeah.
Because
yes.
they collect no money.
They collect more money. They bring what they stopped using, dump it on you. And then you walk in there and you're like, hey guys, why are you using all of this thing? I remember my first experience of walking into NTN Project Fame when you were in Muriokola properties. And I looked at the digitizing room and I'm like, all of these things for digitizing, and I said, yes. I said,
massive equipment.
yes. And I'm like, why?
Very bulky.
Very, very bulky. The whole room. And you're like, oh, they need these things to digitize and everything. And I'm like, okay, no, you don't need that. Draw the kind of diagram and a sketch to see all of this can be compressed into just one server, one system, and run the network, and everybody would happily work. But you know, they didn't take that for like 2 years until the fire incident. And after that fire incident, they go back to me and like, can we implement that solution again?
Now, we did. We revolutionized their whole operation. From having about 14 editors who run shifts, we collapsed that whole thing to about 5 editors, and they don't run shifts. By 10, everybody's done, they've gone home, because we created a whole centralized storage solution for them that made it possible for all the editors, the offline and online editors, the colorists, and the audio guy, everybody could work simultaneously on the same
That's why the first edition of this Creative Friday is focusing on technology. So by the way of background, in 2021, according to some of the report online, the trends around technology within the creative industry was around blockchain, which is to talk about cryptocurrency and NFT, of course, bringing it to the media operating landscape. Gaming also became really big in Africa because the entrance of the pandemic kind of like amplified the e-sport era because it became a very potent source of entertainment for people that were home. And fast forward that now to post-COVID era, so to say, this 2022, the trends kind of remain the same. Now we're talking about metaverse, which actually talks around augmented reality, either full immersion, which is, AR, or partial immersion, which is, of course, again, augmented. We're looking at application of that in the theater industry. The world is already kind of like going this far. But in Africa, in Nigeria, we're still struggling with the basics. Broadcasting infrastructure, cloud infrastructure that can collapse our bulky equipment, that can help us to reduce dependency on manpower in terms of actual labor, people to work around the clock. Also in terms of cost of operating media companies. You'll be shocked how much some of these radio stations and TV stations are spending on a monthly basis as a running cost. And that's why they will never be profitable. It's not a cost. Personally, I've had the opportunity to be commercial manager for a TV station. I know how much it costs. Even after we brought technology, I still know how much it costs on a monthly basis to run. Somebody close to us says he spends how much on diesel every month alone? No, more than $1 million. More than $1 million every week. Every month they spend about 20 to 30 million every month.
Currently now, daily a million.
Yeah. I mean, that's some of the things we're preaching to them. So, but also, it backs the traditional mindset of running a media company. You have to get a massive building and just be on your own. The concept of co-working space or co-locating or co-owning infrastructure also comes to play. So by the way of this foundation, I just want to ask, I know we are players within the industry, but across different verticals. You are a creative director for a brand that is very much not focused on profit, correct?
It depends. It depends.
Do you guys monetize?
Okay, so you want to?
Yeah, so I just want to know what are the trends, that you've identified within your verticals in the creative industry in the last 1 year in terms of technology? Of course, but I like the context of whether you monetize or whether you're for profit or not for profit.
Okay. Thank you very much for that question. So, first of all, Red TV is on YouTube, so obviously technology is an enabler to start with anyway. So the basis of how Red TV operates is essentially on the internet, YouTube. Now, for people who are into the content game, especially around YouTube, you understand that there is a YouTube content management program or YouTube partner program where you can actually earn. But there's some criteria to that, right? Yeah. So you have to have 1,000 subscribers and over 4,000 hours of watch time. Yeah. Red TV has been in existence
and
for
about 10,000 views.
No, 4,000 actually.
4,000.
4,000 watch hours and 1,000 subscribers, standard. You can check this. Mm-hmm. You can fact check this. Now, Red TV has been in existence since 2015. So, and we've been able to grow our subscriber base to 317,000, and we have cumulatively almost 60 million views. So, obviously, we're a monetized channel. But for us, that's not necessarily our focus. Now, existentially, Red TV is part of the corporate communications, remit of the UBA group, right? So, essentially,
so you have a steady budget.
So essentially, but I think if you look at it from the point of view that what we're actually trying to do is try, so basically, first of all, we were set up because we want to be, a part of the, the system that actually pushes UBA's products and services. And I'll give you an example. Sometime in 2015, something was beginning to happen in the banking industry. Now we're doing over the top, outdoor media, digital, Google Ads, and all that stuff. But something had to happen. When you show somebody a picture or a press ad, in a newspaper or something, they could remember it, right? But if you sort of tell them a story and you found a way to put in your product and services, that sort of stayed, right? So primary competition on Downey TV, GT Bank started in Downey TV, right? And what started to happen was people are now beginning to sort of storify their products and services. So you started to have things like, in Downey TV, they started making content, dramas, serialized content, where in the show, somebody's using a GT Bank card and things like that. So that became an interesting way to show your products and services, and it was something that caught up. So at about that time, my boss was like, okay, you have this background, I think we should start doing this, and that's how Red TV started. And systematically, we have found interesting ways of, bringing UBA to a younger demographic. Because I tell you what, this is a over 70-year-old organization. A lot of the people who are essentially, account holders are older people. Now, to getting a younger generation, you have to meet them where they are. And what do young people like to watch? Content. They want to see themselves looking fly, looking really trendy and all that. And that's what we decided to do. Take interesting stories, find interesting ways of talking about our products and services in the stories. And that's pretty much how content marketing became the hallmark of what we do. And that's essentially what we've done at Red TV. So in a way, it's providing a service to the bank. We're empowering local creators, empowering an ecosystem of actors, directors, producers, because we do a lot of collaboration, and essentially providing them some sort of, of work with people like Jim, and things like that. So we've provided employment, provided some sort of empowerment, at the same time, creating a huge top-of-mind awareness for our brand and for UBA as well. So essentially, it's sort of a, some sort of exchange value system where, we gain where we gain, and we also provide this value for people, yeah.
On the tech side,
yes.
I wanted to touch on that.
Oh, the technology, okay, yeah.
How do you use technology, and what has been the trend in the last 2
years? YouTube has essentially empowered the world to tell their own stories. And you're no longer confined by going to a big box or a desktop or a laptop, she's holding a phone in her hand, that's a studio. Essentially, it's got a camera, you got an editor in it, and you can create, you can edit, and you can broadcast yourself. So that's essentially what technology has done. So I think beyond that, even when it comes to the innovations in YouTube, so about 2-3 years ago, they started something called a premiere feature where, rather than just upload your content, you can actually create a premiere. So when you're, showcasing your okay, for instance, we're doing, so we have this show, people know it called The Men's Club, it's quite popular, right? So when we're launching a new episode, we do a premiere where we create this event on YouTube. And now I monitor the community, I can have discussions with people. So I say, where are you watching from? They tell you watching from India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, the Maldives. People are watching a Nigerian channel, and that's the beauty of technology. It's real time. You can monitor, you can have comments, so I think that's the beauty of what technology has been able to help us do. If you wanted to do that with traditional, you probably spend millions of dollars doing that. But with YouTube, having some basic internet connection, you're able to moderate, people watching your content from different parts of the world. And obviously, you can convert those views into cash in your account, that kind of thing. So I think that, beyond everything else, technology has been a fantastic enabler, and obviously, by extension, being able to take those stories and snippets of that and use social media to amplify and amplify the content that you are talking about, and to actually get more audience and more people to be engaged in your content. So I think for now, YouTube has been fantastic, and it keeps getting better. And there's more room for innovation. Now you can actually do, if you're, I don't think it's here, but I think if you set up your account, people can actually tip you. So in the comments, you can gift, somebody money, okay, here's $500, I like what you're talking about, the person gets it into your DOM account and things like that. There's something called super stickers where, specially made stickers where you can send to people, There's even merchandise shops on YouTube where you can sell your merch and actually make money. So it's a lot that's happening, and, we're just glad to be here and to exploit as much as possible. I think the real gist of the matter is that technology has been the game changer.
Thank you very much for that. Yeah. All right, so let's move to communication. Obviously, when you talk about communication, how do you guys use technology? I know about media monitoring, and there is that aspect. There is the aspect of course, you work with brands. Content creation also comes to play. And generally, how do you use technology? And in the last 1 year, what has changed and what is the trend?
Generally, I think before the last 1 year, tech in the media space has been the go-to thing, especially for those media organizations that want to take their brands out of possibly their local location, like outside the country. And I would say, in addition to what he had said, as per what you guys were bringing on board, is the storytelling part of things, the narrative, driving the narrative. I remember before I came back to Nigeria, I didn't want to come back to Nigeria. That's based on the news stories we hear, right? But one of the key things that made me come back was in Danny TV. They had this Giddy Up. Mm-hmm. So Lagos is like this. It's tech, but these organizations and these media platforms are writing stories, yes, maybe to the younger generation, but across the globe, especially to connect with maybe the Africans in the diaspora. It's really about how communications and tech is more about driving the narrative, creating visibility. And I remember for us, I think even before COVID, we had a time that we were moving office, meaning a new location, we needed to change, as you know, in I would say Lagos, when you get an apartment or a place, you have to redecorate the whole space. We didn't want to pay any extra month in our current location. So February before COVID meant we had to work from home. For me, it was a bit tedious, but I always thank God that we had that time because it more or less prepped us for COVID, right? Yeah. Even though it was March, we worked from home. Just 2 weeks before COVID, we moved to the office, meaning we paid a lot of money and we didn't get to use the space. Wow. We canceled a lot of events because we do reactivate events. It was a bit tedious, but for me, it was a game changer for us, right? If I had not paid for the location, and we're paying for service charge, by the way, it would have been fantastic because our space is more about the digital space. We don't have to be in any location to tell any stories. And I think in the beginning, I would say a lot of maybe I'm trying not to, I would say our foreign client understood PR was needed at that time. They understood that they needed PR. Yes, they're not working, but they still needed to be in the face of everybody. I mean, I think it took a while for our Nigerian clients, our local clients, to catch up. But for us, it was, I would say it was the beginning of a good thing for my agency in terms of the way we write for example, we're well known in terms of our newsletters. We're storytellers. We like to tell good stories about the brands we work with. That meant we even got a job in UK because of that. So when I think for me, the major part of what tech has done is it's made the world a bit smaller, meaning you can connect with people easier, faster, and once you get, once you get your niche, it's easier to connect. Yeah.
Thank you very much for that. But specifically, before I go to Mr. Chimdi, so I want to ask, I mean, you alluded to something about foreign clients, understanding PR and wanting to pay for it. And I think that mindset is one of the setbacks in this part of the world, not wanting to pay, thinking media is free. We're going to come back to that, but as a owner of communication agency, when you get this from your clients, local clients, you come back to media owners like us and want to get things for free, thinking that I'm not paying Mr. Patrick rent, every month or every year.
So are you trying to put me on this spot? I come from media partnership all the time.
I'm just saying, this is personal, but I think a lot of media owners are suffering the same. They're going through the same thing, and it's something that we discuss whenever we gather together, whether we like it or yes. Red TV might not be for profit, but they need to sustain creating amazing content, and that's why whatever monetization they do is to be able to allow them to create quality content. Without money, you cannot create quality content. So currently, how do you manage that aspect, and has there been any change?
I think we've had, you speak to that. Okay, I think one thing that, I remember I said I love to work with startups as well. There's some things we have had to cut, but in order to find balance, because I'm passionate about growth as well, somebody has to start from somewhere to be something, right? We take on a percentage of startups every year, and we also focus in the money side of things. So there has to be a balance. So, for example, what I tell people that media houses that we have partnerships with is this. It's a symbiotic relationship.
Correct.
I'll bring you some businesses with money, but I'll also bring you some businesses that I want you to support, right? I understand that Red TV needs to make money, right? But I also believe in growth. There's some startups that you can see they have the vision, but they don't have the resources, right? How do you help them? But I also believe in not completely doing stuff for free. That's where barter works, comes in. So there's several ways, but potentially for me it's, there's some brands you see and you can see that, you know what, these people know what they're doing. If we work together, we make money together, right? And sometimes it's not about the retainership. I mean, there's so many things you can do. You can work with percentage. I bring you business, you give me a percentage. It's a win-win situation. So there are different areas, and I understand medias as well, that obviously you have overheads, but you also need the content. You can only also survive with, with what you're doing, you need content. So there are several ways to make money. If it's not through the person, through advertising. For example, I was telling you earlier on that we have an event coming up later on this year, and a lot of people saw the vision and they see what they can take out of it. Your media house, yes, we don't have enough funds to, pay you the amount you would want to pay, but I can offer you some other things that you can make money out of, right? So partnerships, I'm big on partnerships. That has helped me. Yes, sometimes it doesn't work, but partnerships helps with growth. helps with sustainability, helps with in terms of retainership, goodwill. And for me, I mean, I talk differently. I'm not big on money if it's not going to be a long-term goal. Yeah.
Thank you very much for indulging me. All right, I want to come to you, but I want to highlight the current trend with regards to tech within the creative industry. We're still talking about OTT platforms. Most of them are trying to change their business models right now. Netflix is in trouble because you have the likes of Fever also wanting to just start their own streaming platform. Yes, so which would mean that the exclusive premiership license would not be there because they wouldn't need that to grow their platform. So we have a lot of that happening. I think Disney is also pulling the plugs from you. So now Disney Plus is launched. Of course, you have now Netflix losing some subscribers to all of these new platforms. So that is happening within the OTT arena. There's also the concept of personalization when it comes to content, because the consumer now wants something that they want, which means that live element is not 100% the most important again. People want to be able to watch, listen, consume whenever they want to, what they want to. So that is becoming a growing trend that also plays into monetization of the platform and the content. So we also have, we're talking about the business way that's changing, so it speaks to monetization. We have, of course, the era of podcasting is quite huge right now. Digital audio has become a big thing globally. We have Africans also beginning to open up to that. So generally, and we have the metaverse, like I said. So on the tech side, in terms of trend, coming back to Africa and Nigeria, what have you seen as an infrastructure person currently?
Okay, let's take it from the infrastructure side. Nigeria and Africa in extension, it's still seated on doing business the old way. We still want to acquire properties, huge equipment, and huge overhead cost. Very few TV or media houses want to do co-location for their broadcast equipment. Very few people want to do, lease partnership for the actual equipment they use for content creation. Now, we have to understand something. Hardly do you buy equipment in Africa via financing.
You have to buy cash down.
So you have to buy cash down. Now you're going to take 10, 15, 20 million dollars to go and buy broadcast-based equipment.
Please say that again. I want that.
Yeah, you're spending about 10, 15 million dollars buying broadcast equipment.
And it doesn't have to be bulky.
And now, one of the biggest problems is that you've taken your entire cash flow to put into hardware without thinking about how you're going to monetize the content, how you're going to create the content. So first, we have a problem in our ecosystem where I spend $15 million buying an equipment, and I'm not willing to pay the personnel who will run that equipment $1,000 as salary every month.
So the equipment will run themselves?
Now, because I'm not doing that, I'm getting low output from it. Remember, you are in a global market and you're competing with a Netflix, Disney Plus, Hulu, Amazon. The guys who create content for this platform can buy this equipment on financing. They don't have to pay zero financing in the US and some other European countries. You don't pay a dime, you just go get the equipment, drop your finance document from your bank, and you go away with the equipment. You start paying a monthly installment on it. You have spent 15 million. The other guy over there spent 0. You're fighting for the same market. He has enough cash to pay the guys involved in the content creation to create quality content, which means his ability to monetize his content is high. You're struggling to create quality content on your side because you've taken all your money to buy the equipment. So you're struggling to get the right guys to produce for you, the right directors, cast, and every other thing. So you are struggling with content creation before you even talk about monetization. You're struggling with operational costs. Okay, you consult for some broadcast houses. Overhead cost, 1 million naira for diesel every day. That's not salary. She works in the PR industry, agency. How much are they bringing to the broadcast houses that will allow them to sustain operation, to even pay salaries? So at the end of the month, when your staff look at you and ask for their salary and you can't pay them, or they're asking for salary increase and you can't give salary increase, what happens? So Africa and Nigeria particularly, we've not really embraced the use of technology to bring down our overhead costs. We've not embraced, even our banking industry has not embraced technology to actually assess content creators to give them financing. So the problem your content creators also have is you go to the banks and there's no credit history, there's no means of verifying if you can actually pay back that money. And why? So there is no, how do we put it, no roadmap from the content you're creating to monetizing the content. So you're talking about podcast growing. How many content creators in Africa is really making money from podcasts? Check the ratio to the same podcast being created in the US, in London, in Paris, how much that content creator is making, and weigh to the amount of money the content creator in Nigeria is making. They are struggling. Now remember, you are monetizing on a foreign platform.
That's correct. Now you're exposing.
So you are not, you are trying, how will I put it? You are trying to speak English better than the British. So your content is African-based. Your whole language and your whole context of the content you're creating is African-based. And you're trying to monetize on a Western platform. So technology-wise, we don't have African platforms where you can really monetize your content in the African continent and generate revenue from it. If you go to India, there are podcast platforms for Indians. You go to China. China has, they have their own version of Twitter. They have their own version of WhatsApp. They have their own, they have WeChat. They have, what do you call it, Weibo for Twitter. They have, what's this name again? Baidu, or what is the name? Baidu, which is their own version of Google. Now, Alibaba can put up a product. They have a, what do you call, Singles Day. They created their own version of. Amazon has Black Friday and Prime Day. Alibaba created Singles Day. The amount of revenue, of sales that is made on Singles Day on Alibaba surpasses anything you can think of. Everything is in China. And we have the numbers in Nigeria. So let's not even look outside Nigeria. We have the numbers in Nigeria. 200 million people. How are you reaching them?
Okay. So I'll jump in there. And the reason I want to jump in because when we speak monetization of platforms and content, we have to talk about distribution. And one of the major reasons why it will be difficult for an African podcaster to monetize is because the available platforms are not designed to allow Africans to monetize. I mean, you mentioned that I monetize on a foreign platform. Yes, I do. And I have to set it up with foreign companies and all of that. But that's by the side. So now, looking at distribution, you utilize YouTube,
Yep.
and I feel like YouTube is not the future for us, even though we need to leverage on that right now as Africans, because it's not the future. So I want to talk about distribution. Have you identified another platform, maybe local, with local infrastructure or something, that gives you something close to what YouTube is giving you right now, or maybe even better, that you think would be the future? Would you be open to something like that? So I want you to pick up that. Then I will come back to Yeti, and I want to talk about when you're handling communication and PR for brand. Typically, you guys go after traditional platforms. It is more like So, I mean, you correct me if I'm wrong. The belief is that you can reach all of your audience there, which I think is not true. So,
the thing about traditional platforms now is they've digitalized their platforms as well. So as these days publishing in the morning, you can find it on.
which is so now, in terms of distribution, you guys are also embracing digital.
Of course, there's so many platforms now, like Proudly, for example, is a space that media platform use, both journalists, and it's also international. In fact, I started using it in UK because it's more focused on the media space there, but on check-in, I can see it's in Nigeria. I started using it about 2 years ago. I think the world is changing, and there's some things, I mean, I'm sure he wants to answer that question you asked him, and I want to add to it. In terms of if you're not creating, you asked him about distribution, whether, I mean, is it distribution? YouTube. Yeah. If they have a local platform, YouTube works. Like, you know that it's something that is tested and trusted, and they're constantly developing. If I'm not sure in terms of why would you want to then go local when we have so many issues attached to platforms? We have so many issues. There's diesel issues. There's tendency that the platform would have glitches, so many glitches in one day. I'm all for made in Nigeria and promoting Nigeria, but there's a lot of work that it must work first. There's a lot of things that is not working for us at the moment that we all have to maybe work towards it. But potentially, I think he needs to answer his question first.
Yeah, so you wanted to speak, so great, fantastic questions. I'm gonna put it this way. I hear what you're saying, but what you're saying is there's a how would I explain this? There's a background. There's something you're trying to say, and your question doesn't really capture it. But I understand what you're trying to say. I'm going to tell you a story. In November last year, I was on a panel in Carnex in Durban, and I was moderating a panel like this that had Alex Okosi, head of YouTube emerging markets at YouTube, and a bunch of people from CBS, Viacom, and we're talking about monetizing digital content, you know. And it was a very interesting session, you know. And somebody asked a question. I remember the chap from Rwanda. He said that a lot of other platforms. We're talking about Spotify. We're talking about Apple Music. We're talking about YouTube. We're talking about all these platforms, right? And guess what, guys? They are all owned by Americans or British people or Europeans. And the guy said, now all these things that we're creating, I mean, there are people, Mark Angel Comedy has 10 million subscribers. You know, a lot of creators across Africa that runs into thousands and millions. He says, when are Africans going to start building platforms that are owned by Africans? And everybody paused because it was a really, really vital question. Let me bring something more into perspective. Sometime this year or last year, Instagram and WhatsApp went down for 6 hours. There was pandemonium in the world. Now, think about people who do their businesses every day on Instagram. They have to supply food. They have to do, you know, some of them are caterers. Some of them are. Now, for 6 hours, they had no access to their constituencies. They had no access. WhatsApp, people do business on WhatsApp. You guys know how it is, right?
Yeah.
Now, all you have is domiciled. It's in some server in Ireland, in Dublin.
Yeah.
Suddenly, it begs the question, we need to build platforms, and that's what Chim was saying in his introduction. The conversation changes when Africans build infrastructure, not content, to house our content. That is really what the conversation changes. So I was on another panel again, so I think for Gage Co-Create, and the same question you asked was asked, you know, when are we going to, you know, have our own platforms and all that stuff? And for the streaming business, it's a really, so let me explain something to everybody. The streaming business is unraveling. Netflix does not know where the streaming business is taking them. I give you an example. Disney is probably the biggest content creation company in the entire world. Now, they're trying to figure it out. When they launched in South Africa, they launched on DSTV's box. They didn't start because they need to understand what works in Africa and what does not work in Africa. So nobody has an algorithm because it's still unraveling. Now, you led something where they lost 200 million subscribers. Now, people have choices. Let's forget the word that's happening, because now, like I was mentioning to a lot of us that was, you know, listening to the conversation, when there is inflation or when there's scarcity, the first thing you knock off is entertainment. Let me survive. Yeah. First of all. So naturally, people are going to turn off their subscription. So it's normal. So what's happening in the world is normal. So now, there's inflation in Nigeria. A dollar was what, 710 now, right? So whatever is extraneous, what you don't need, you cut off. Entertainment is the first thing. So it's a natural progression with what's happening in life. So what I'm trying is to answer your question, for us, this was how I answered that question. I said, technology, everything around technology, especially around streaming, is evolving. Red TV is not in a hurry to jump on any bandwagon because it's all evolving. Now we get to a point, but what we're going to do is we're going to set up our own, create our own application, but we're not in a hurry because at the end of the day, I think it's a time where we need to observe and learn and essentially make a decision. So essentially, we are also evolving with the times. You know, I think that's the best way to look at it, because I tell you what, there are people who have jumped on the streaming bandwagon and they are beating their fingers because it's a if you watch science fiction, it's a vortex. It can suck you in and take you in. So.
I've got two things.
Please, let's
before I open up to the floor. So
yes.
I'm going to ask you one.
Please go ahead.
I'll come back to Mr. Chimdi to talk about FPAS and this whole agenda of infrastructure that he's personally championing. I mean, I know some of them. Then after that, I want to come to the point of funding, and with that visionary outlook. I mean, you said Red TV will jump into that at some point, and I feel like if Africans really want to get to the point where we own a platform, we would need the likes of Red TV under the platform of a bank and an entire ecosystem that could be visionary, that would be ready to provide required funding to kind of make it happen. Of course, we won't be in a hurry, but that's what I want to come to.
Okay, let me just quickly address that. Let me say that I think that technology has empowered everybody, and I think that there's a democratization of the ability to create content and also to build your own infrastructure, if you like. You know, there's something you were saying. You were saying something, you know, when I said I'll speak to that, when you said you require money to create the best content. I disagree with you a little bit. You know why? Let me tell you something. Let me bring this more into perspective. There are people who have been making film and television and content for years in Nigeria. But guess what? There's some people who Zack Snyder hasn't sent a message to, and people like, you know, a bunch of people in Hollywood. But guess what? The Ikorodu boys have gotten props from Zack Snyder. Yeah. From, what's his name now? From Thor, what's his name? Yeah, Chris Hemsworth. Now, those guys didn't need a ton of money to do what they did. All they, like I said, in your hand is your superpower. Yep. It is what you have internet with 1005. You can buy internet from MTN. And what the only difference between good and great is your ability to sit down and think up what can make a dent in the world. What were these guys doing? They just replicate trailers using wheelbarrows, using shovels, and guess what? They have the attention of the world. So my point here is that sometimes it's not about having a ton of money, it's about imagination. Do you understand what I'm saying? You know, I tell people, look, you know, one thing I like to do is, you know, a lot of people want to start YouTube channels and they come to me, what can I do? You know, like I said, look, you know, it's hard, but guess what? Try not to replicate what you're seeing or what you watch. Think about something entirely different. I'm going to give a really wacky example. I'm going to say it. It's going to make a lot of you laugh. I'm going to say it. Imagine I recorded how everybody farts in this room and I made that into an audio file. So a fat man will fart, his fart sounds like this, a thin person. Now, if I put that up on YouTube, they're going to want to listen to it. Yeah. There are people who there are people who, you know, the people who blow up stuff for a living on YouTube. They just destroy anything. That's what they do. They just put dynamite and blow it up. It's fun, you know. Recorded at 240 frames per second. And guess what? So my point here is, I think that there has to be a mindset shift as to what is possible and what can be done. I think the answer to your question is that at the end of the day, it's about who is able to put their money where their mouth is and actually build the infrastructure and say, okay, we're going to house, like I was talking about, there is right now in, I think, Eco Atlantic, there is acreage for people who want to do cloud computing. Yeah. AWS is coming there. Yeah. There's nothing stopping people from setting up their own cloud storage and say, okay, we're going to here so that we can build Nigerian or African, you know, warehousing points where we can, you know, we own our own stuff now. And that's why I will always respect guys like Africa Magic, Iroko, because at the end of the day, these are guys who put their money where their mouth is. You know, I see them as pioneers, as people who have been able to empower Africans, and not just empower Africans, give them a platform, you know, and also give them, you know, a living. I also want to, sorry, before I'm done, you know, things like, we should embrace things like, you know, AI and machine learning. Would it interest you to know that the New York Times, the New York Times this year got artificial intelligence to write 75 articles. Now what they've done is they've reduced their churn. They focus their actual human editors to focus on stories, while they get AI to write other articles that are really not necessary. Do you know that?
Traffic-generated articles. Do
you understand what I'm saying? Written by artificial intelligence. But now, do you know that as we speak, AI composes music? Yeah. Yeah. Like you can literally, like for instance, as a content creator, you're looking for music, you have problems in licensing your music and put it on YouTube. You can actually go to a site and you tell it exactly what you want and it reproduces it. Do you know what I'm saying? What I'm saying is that we need to open our eyes to what technology can actually enable you to accomplish without spending money. Now, let me also say this. Now, a lot of us ladies here, we love filters. You know, I mean, what's an IG live without a filter? Do you know that's augmented reality? I'm sure you don't know that because people think that AR is this big thing that is somewhere in LA and in China. No. AR is filters. You can build your own filters. There's something called, I think, Adobe Spark. It's a software you can learn and you can build filters. And you can actually, if it's really good, you can actually, Instagram or any of these people, Snapchat can even, every day, people are, do you understand? That's monetization. NFTs, what are non-fungible tokens? Now, if you play video games, like I play video games, and you're playing Call of Duty or you're playing any other thing, those skins you buy, those, you want to change the dress of a player, you know, in a game, those are NFTs. People are making a lot of money. You know, let me just end this by saying, another thing is, for instance, gaming is, there are community of gamers. There are people who just sit, connect their PS or connect their games to the internet, and they live stream their gameplay. You can play, imagine playing maybe like Call of Duty, maybe Modern Warfare, you're playing it for 6 hours. You can play that, monetize that, and you've made money. What I'm just trying to say is that the opportunities are there for content creators who are really focused and who really, really want to make a difference. And you know, sometimes it's not about buying the biggest equipment like Chima said. It's about using what you have in your hands. I was talking to a friend of mine, I don't know, some of you might know her, AB Atawadi, she's at Netflix, but she was poached by Google. She managed the entire YouTube studio for the world. She's based in Amsterdam, it's Nigerian. And I had a meeting with her, and she said, look, what we want to do is we're concentrating on YouTube Shorts, because we feel that that is a platform we want to grow where people can actually shoot, edit, upload, broadcast themselves easily. So the focus is on YouTube Shorts. So I'm just giving you and telling you that, like, if you're looking to push, sometimes it's not about long form content. Focus on your short form content on YouTube. That there's a lot that they're doing, and that's what they're really pushing. So at the end of the day, guys, it's really, I really want to get away from this mindset of, oh, I need this big box from heaven or this. No, it's in your hands. The question is, are you ready to go the mile to make the content, to push yourself to achieve? Because guess what, guys, the tools are there. It's up to us. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. You've spoken really well. Just quickly before I open the floor to Q&A, I want to talk around FPaaS quickly, and of course the whole infrastructure ecosystem that you're trying to create, and how that would help the broadcasting industry, and of course anyone that wants to jump on distribution and all that.
It's still coming back to what Obi talked about. If we don't have a platform that's built by Africans for Africans, how then can we monetize our content? Now, one of the biggest problems is that Africa is completely different from the Western world, from the Asian world. Until we build platforms that are focused on Africans and how our own terrains and how we consume content and how we go about living our lives, we will not be able to monetize content. And simply, that's what FreePass is all about. Remember when we were talking before the start of the program, I told you about working on a solution that's bringing content distribution closer to the end users. Now, we know the biggest problem we face is data for Africans to watch content. I told you when we were talking about it that, look, in Europe, in UK, US, and the rest of it, your phone lines are contracts. You have unlimited internet, unlimited data,
access to content,
broadband. At home, you have fiber, triple play, voice, data, and video, all together bundled as one to your house. In Africa, you don't have that. The bulk of our internet consumption in Africa comes from our mobile network operators. How many of us have fibers in our home? How many of us will get fibers in our home in the next 10 years? Very few. So you have a situation where content consumption is low because I can't $700 plus. I can't afford to pay you 2,000 naira or 1,000 naira to buy access to Red TV content. And then I have to buy 4,000 naira of data to watch that same content. It's not going to happen. So what will I do? I'll slash buying that content from Red TV. Out of the way. I'm not going to pay for it. But if I have something that allows me to pay Red TV 1,000 naira, and I'm not going to consume data to watch that content, imagine the number that would subscribe to that. UBA has about 50 million plus customers in Africa. Red TV releases a future movie. And Red TV says, UBA says to their customers, pay 700 naira to watch this movie for 30 days. But you're not going to consume your data across Africa. We're not talking of Nigeria. There'll be a surge.
And gradually you start creating your platform.
So that platform you're talking about comes into existence. So you go from the UBA banking app, you are offering your customers not just banking, but entertainment. Now, let's even leave entertainment. Africa is a growing continent. 33.7 million youths. How many of these youths really have the quality education for the job market? Very few. Why? Access to good quality education. The guy in the rural area, the young girl in Zamfara, ravaged by insecurity, can't go to school. But she wants to be a doctor, she wants to be a lawyer, she wants to be an engineer. The only way we can provide that next monetization for Africa is to be able to give them access to good quality education. How do you do that? Free pass. Creating an infrastructure that allows for the distribution of content at zero rate to customers' data.
Without the barrier of
access. Customers having to buy data to consume that content. What are we talking about? The creative industry will be able to sell content across Africa. So the guy in Rwanda can create a movie, and if that movie interests me in Nigeria, I pay him 500 or 700 naira, and I'm watching that thing, and I'm not consuming my data. But now, people will say mobile network operators will lose money. That's a lie. How many people watch Red TV on YouTube? Your combined view on Red TV on YouTube?
Yeah, relatively about 60 million.
60 million views. What's that to the entire population of Africa? How much content do you have already on YouTube? A whole lot. But how many people are watching it? You look at the 60 million views and you think it's a lot of numbers. No, it's not.
You know that 60 million, if you look at, I'm just calculating the number, if we look at the current rates of advertising on YouTube, you guys should be making, or should have made around less than $600,000 from the 60 million cumulative listing. And I don't think you've made that.
but you see, Soji, yeah, that's good. Soji, no, but Soji, yeah.
I feel like you're doing, what you're doing is amazing, but the ecosystem needs to be built, right? The lady in Zamfara doesn't have access to internet, which is what you need, right? So how are we going to?
That's what Free Pass is trying to do, so that you don't need internet to consume that content.
You don't need to pay for that internet.
No, not internet.
Maybe you have a mobile phone.
As long as you are on a network.
Okay, so how are you going to be on a network when there's no internet?
No, you don't. The network operators are there. You have a phone. You are connecting to a network operator. You can make calls. You can send SMS. You can. Now, as long as you have that connectivity to the network, you can consume that content. Now, we are looking at people look at the smaller numbers. How many people are the telco selling data to? If you're selling in Nigeria, we're 200 million Nigerians, and you're making how much? You're selling. How many people are watching? What's their name? DSTV brought out Showmax. How many Nigerians are watching Showmax? Yes, but imagine how many Nigerians are on DSTV? It's not a lot. So if you look at it and you say, okay, now Showmax can reach 30 million Nigerians through Free Pass. And all they're paying to Showmax every month, plus that zero-rated access to Showmax, is 3,000 naira or 4,000 naira. The networks will be making, let's say, 1,000 naira or 500 naira multiplied by 30 million Nigerians. And remember, the traffic is local to the network. It's not outside of the network. So it's not internet.
You can mine the data of the traffic. What I'm hearing is that we need to reimagine the way our approach. Of course, look at what is already out there. We cannot possibly go the same way.
We can't.
We need to reimagine our approach and look at what will work. And also, get the point, it cannot be overnight. And I think also this is where there is opportunities for entrepreneurs out there who kind of like sees an opportunity, and also to understand that you have to have a vision and just stick to it and keep building. Generally in the industry, what we say is that before you are cash flow positive, you give yourself between 7 to 10 years. So for those that really want to be a player in the industry, just know that I can name platforms for you. It was on their 8th year or 9th or 10th year before they were ever cash flow positive. And some of the biggest platforms that you know today, you'll be shocked. So again, thank you very much, guys. I think at this point, we're going to put a pause. and we're just going to open the floor, Q&A. I know there's a lot of things we're not able to touch. I wanted to touch on e-sport and how gaming is also changing, and also around creating personalized content from gaming. You play Call of Duty. Do you have your own YouTube channel where you stream your game? I can watch, even though I cannot play off. I can play soccer and whoop your ass, then I can stream it to the entire Impact Hub to watch and be entertained. So, I mean, these are some of the other things that we're not able to touch today, but I think we're just going to put a pause to it at this point, and if there's anybody with any questions, then we can just...
That man should be giving you a check for free consultation.
All right.
You hear that?
For free consultation. Take the message back to your people.
Okay, a round of applause for all our speakers, please. A round of applause. It's been a jam-rocking speech, and Mr. Obina, you owe us money for mentioning MTN here. Because Grantham is MTN, our leg is the cheapest data. You owe us money. Yeah, so thank you very much, Mr. Soji Akinlabi, Mr. Chimdi, Ms. Yeti, Mr. Obina. Thank you very much. Round of applause for them, please. Round of applause, round of applause. Yes, so we're moving on to our Q&As. So we'll take our Q&As accordingly. But let me start from me, personally. There was something, Mr. Soji and Mr. Chimdi mentioned about, also Yeti, about people in rural areas who don't have access to internet. But I don't think that's the only yardstick. I feel it's also technology has to be involved too. How many of them can afford smartphones? Even the Chinese cheap phones, how many of them can afford that? How many of them can even understand how to even read or how to even convert to their own languages? Because there's Hausa, there's Igbo and all that, engulfed in, yeah. So let me push this to you, Mr. Obina. How can this be solved? Because, for instance, technology affects a lot of things. Domestic violence, for instance, how would they report? How do they do this? So, can you...
That's a very serious question. I think the truth is this, because I was going to say this, because because I think I have an idea of the kind of technology they're talking about, but the thing about it is that it still boils down to the economics. If you cannot buy essentially what is going to provide you that content, it's a problem, because you have to have a specific kind of phone for you to even enjoy that. So if the economics don't change, nothing is going to change. I'm sorry, because there are bigger issues. It's kind of like saying providing an enabling environment. If it's, we're talking about a place where people are taking lectures under the tree. There's no shelter. So it's, I don't know. I don't want to give up hope, but it's a tough one, because except the economic situation changes, the last thing anybody's thinking about is watching, something from, any production house or anything. I think the fundamentals have to be gotten right first, then it opens itself to all this great innovation. But if you don't get the fundamentals right, there's no way we can talk about it. Right now, guess what, guys? The conversation now in Nigeria is about being alive.
Actually.
That's where we are, guys.
Actually, yeah.
So, yeah.
All right.
I want to add to that, and of course, I want to come from the angle of, he mentioned that most of these people in the rural area, they probably want in their local languages. And I think we don't understand the demand for language content. You'd be shocked how big the demand for Hausa content is across platforms. Hausa content, Yoruba content, even religious content. There are massive audience for those type of content. And I think we need to look at content creation beyond just speaking English and thinking that we are creating content for English-speaking audience. There are a lot more audience who would want local content in their local languages.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Soji. So we'll open the floor. I have someone over there. Please tell us your name, tell us what you do. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't know. This is right here. Okay. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dennis Kange, and I work for African Cycling Foundation. I have not been watching news on TV. So I do my news on YouTube. I'm always on YouTube. That's my channel. So right now in my house, we're thinking of if not for my boy, who is always cartoon. What's the essence of DSTV? You know, because my wife is also working on the content, something that production on YouTube as well. So there's a lot of things happening, and you guys have actually, you've covered the topic real good, really good. So I really want to commend the team leader of this hub. It's really impactful for this. This is the beginning, and we're going to be having lots of this. I want to say that we should track data of people doing stuff online. It's come to stay. So these conversations are really, really, you know, wonderful. It's about quality content creation. That's what we're always hitting our head about. Even before leaving the office, we're talking about content here and there. Mr. Chimdi and I are also working on stuff has to do with content, you know. So whether we need, they talk about infrastructure. If you go across different sectors in Nigeria, it's a discussion. What sector, you know, so but for this one of technological base, yes, the discussions are relevant, they've covered all the sectors, but we should track the data. Who is doing this where? So when we come out and say, in Lagos, you have people like me who spend so many million hours in a week on YouTube, therefore we can now get people who are doing this. And the conventional media houses are becoming redundant. They're even looking for people to come to their stations. You go to a station now, it's just one space. The whole money they are spending on infrastructure, correct me if I'm wrong, the lady, it's reducing, the budget is reducing. People are finding creative ways to be on the internet and all of that. So I'm not a tech person. Chimdi is carrying my hand along. I belong to a different industry, but it's wonderful to be here. Thank you very much.
Let me just quickly respond to that. Fantastic. Thank you for that submission. And what I was going to say is, I think why we have these platforms that, you know, that are really like YouTube, for instance. Now, the amount of analytics and data that you get is mind-blowing. Like I can open the back end of my channel and know instantly, I know exactly where my highest points of views were at 5 minutes. People logged off at this time. I know exactly, you know, who was watching. Like for instance, I can tell you, top viewers, you know, for Red TV, Nigeria, obviously, followed by America, then followed by Canada before we come to Ghana. So that tells you, so when we are creating, we're like, okay, when we want to do our targeted posts, now for Instagram, we have data that helps us guide where we're targeting because, you know, this is where people are watching from, you know. And to your point, like everybody, so there's still the conventional radio station and things like that, but guess what? They are sort of approach the podcast style approach. So Nigeria Info is doing dailies today, you know, with Jimmy Disu, and you can watch it on YouTube. Because that's the thing, because at the end of the day, people, you want to be able to, and guess what, it's because of data tracking. They can see, okay, these are the people where the people are watching from, this is how much people are logging, these are the profiles of people that are watching, the amount of females versus, you know, gender breakdown, males versus females and things like that. So it helps you create better content. And now, I give an example. Why I was talking about AI, artificial intelligence. Now, when you watch Netflix, right? So I'm watching The Gray Man, you know, and for some reason, maybe my girlfriend is calling me. We have to go out. I stopped at 30 minutes. I come back 5 days later. It's artificial intelligence being able to match audience, and they're like, because you watched The Gray Man, you will like as AI at work. It's on Amazon. It's on all the platforms now. That's why we need to work with a data mindset, be driven by the data. So AI has made it possible because all of that is the deployment of artificial intelligence because it matches what? Content to audience. So we're talking about technology. That is how technology empowers people. So that way, if you come with that mindset, you are able to, and people who have deployed artificial intelligence and machine learning, they have a quantum leap. So by the time they've set up their own thing, they know exactly what people want. They know how to get that content to people, and they're making all the difference. So, you know, just to mention that data, you know, and how data, it really helps us really get the right content and get it to the right audience. So I just wanted to touch on that.
Just quickly, in addition to that, I want to speak from the angle of some of the corporate clients that we also serve on the podcast side of things. So we've realized, or we've seen that one major part of what they're asking for is the analytics that we're able to give. And most of them are asking to the granular details. I mean, I remember one of the clients asking us that, can we be tracking on a weekly basis? We can, but, you know, the emphasis still goes down to how important data is and how it helps their businesses. And if we want to bring content to in terms of how businesses are using content. And I think we have to talk about data. How do you track, and how do you, eventually now, how do you interpret, those data? Because talk about podcasts, analytics side is still not great compared to what YouTube has done. With podcasts, you have to be able to track across platforms almost individually. What Apple will give you will be different from what Spotify will give you, will be different from what your actual host will give you. So that's some of the difficulties we're facing right now. But again, as we move forward, adopting technology, we need to think data. So I think I totally agree with you.
Yeah, I actually forgot about awareness drive, because a lot of people still think about the conventional. So how many of us are here? You talked about 60 million and somebody was trying to contest the number. There's explosion of population. And she also said tech has brought us this close.
Yeah.
So it's just about how many people know what we're driving at, and how many people are driven towards this current trend. But there are a lot of people on the tech space now. We just need to really drive a lot of awareness to where we want to make change from.
I mean, just to tell you, 4 days ago, we started maintaining our podcast channel as NFT. I have been introduced to blockchain for creative industry as way back as 2018. The company that started it failed in 2020. And these other guys, they've also been experimenting for the last 5 years. They only came back live about 2 months ago. So again, the future, things are changing. And as African, if you want to move with the flow and benefit from what is changing, we need to also keep our ears on the ground.
All right, thank you, Mr. Soji. I have another person with a question here. Your name and what you do.
Good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Johnson Lawal. I currently work in tech, fintech specifically. So much learning. Thank you so much, all of the speakers. So much learning around media. You spoke about content creation. Spoke about infrastructure around creating those contents and platforms. So I just want to ask questions around the platform side, especially with regards to how I'm concerned as a technologist. So what I noticed, the recent trend is that there's been a lot of centralization around content distribution. So you have Netflix, which was the dominant platform for movie streaming. Disney came along. Some other players are coming along. But I'm not sure anyone here can mention up to 20 of these players. And we have a world of, Africa is about 1.7 billion. We have a world of 8 billion people. Probably 20% of those people are on the internet. So if you look at this trend, and these guys are big guys, they are monopolists, they have the best algorithm and the best players. I'm worried about or concerned about the future, so that we don't have something like a Google, where search, 8% of search now goes to Google. Okay? So I would like to hear your thoughts about how we can create platforms, probably using technology, that we are in control of and that can help us distribute local content. For example, you look at what Jason Njoku has done with Roku TV.
Yeah.
Amazing, amazing stuff. And another concern why I think that's important for us in the future is that when you use YouTube, for example, Red TV is using YouTube for distribution, it means your payment goes through them. So if today they decide to give you 15% of the total,
not benefiting.
Tomorrow they can decide we are cutting it to 3%, and then you can't do anything. Or tomorrow they come up with one censorship law and they say, okay, you can't post so and so content, which has happened today. In places like China today, China forces this kind of decentralization. Their government is involved. I don't think there's YouTube in China or any of these. Yeah, I'm not sure those media houses are there. So, okay. So just to conclude with my question, I want to hear your thoughts around decentralization. As a technologist, I don't understand the media, but what kind of technology can I put in place that probably Nigerian technology for Nigerians? Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much for that. I'm just going to speak quickly, then I will pass the mic across. there is a phenomenon called monopoly, and I came across it 2 days ago. It's the other side of monopoly. And what it typically means is that, and mostly there are tech guys that actually play like that. One big buyer and will just control and determine everything. That's what Google has become. Instagram failed to become that because TikTok came and good for us. And I think on the content distribution side, that's what we're also facing. These tech guys are kind of like big tech. So as somebody in tech, I think what I would pose to you is that how open-minded are the people in the tech community to collaborate with media professionals to create platforms, because we have some of the best developers in Africa. I maintain that. Even they might not be in Africa, they're working wherever they're working, they're creating fantastic platform. I know of 2 AI guys who are building a bot for a company owned by a European person in Netherlands, and what they are doing is typically forcing people to like and retweet in Nigeria. It's a bot. They're local guys. And they're not like the best AI people that we have, but they are local AI coders. And as part of the media, can you create an algorithm that will allow local audience to consume local content more? These are some of the things. So my question to you as a tech person is that how open-minded are you guys are to collaborate, because this transformation that we possibly preaching, it has to be a collaborative effort.
Yeah, to add to what Soji just said, the tech guys, that's the software guys, have to really collaborate with the media guys so that we can come up with platforms that are based on how Africans and how Nigerians consume content. So I'll give you an example. The way Netflix is built today might not be the way Nigerians are used to consuming content. Now, the way our banking industry work in Nigeria is not the same way the banking industry work in UK. Another thing you need to look at, our payment platform in Nigeria, by the way, online payment platform in Nigeria is one of the most secured in the world. Now, how many people really know that? And then we think, oh, fraud is happening in Nigeria. You go check out the amount of fraud happening outside Nigeria. When you see the volume of fraud happening in UK compared to the volume of fraud happening on card services in Nigeria, the Nigerian percentage is low. Why? It's because of the level of security on our banking platforms. Now, there are a lot of things that are evolving in our banking platform. Yes, we are not yet there. Now, that's the same mindset we need to approach. What's G Networks doing? We are working with content and media platforms, media guys, to create technology for that sector, for that industry. So we're looking at it, how do we come up with solutions that make it possible and easy for content creators to monetize or to distribute their content? How do we leverage on the mobile network operators, knowing that our own situation in Nigeria and Africa at large is totally unique from what it is in Europe or what it is in North America? We know 80% of our internet traffic comes from mobile network operators. So how do we build technology and solutions that will use that mobile network operators infrastructure to distribute content? Now, we can only achieve that if we all come together to collaborate. One of the things Impact Hub has been able to create is that enabling environment for both the tech guys and the creative guys to collaborate and come up with solutions that are geared towards Nigerians and Africans. You want to add something?
Yeah, I was going to add. So I think it's a fantastic question. Like, again, like I said earlier, a lot of these things are still evolving. You know, it's technology that's evolving. We don't, even the pioneers, you know, Netflix started in 2007, and when they said, look, it would be possible for you to watch content online, people laughed at them and, you know, see where we are, you know, even the biggest content creators, Disney, still playing catch up. So the point here is it's evolving, and you know, it provides a lot of opportunity for you to figure out, you know, how you are going to actually play in that sector, and innovation. I think innovation is actually the word. How do you innovate with something that already is widespread and global? So there's a lot of room, you know, for people to, you know, ideas, you know, that kind of thing. Like, I mean, for someone like who's a technologist, you've listened to the conversations, you've listened to, you know, all aspects of it. So how can you galvanize your community of developers to say, okay, guys, this is the need, this is what we can do, you know, to provide? Because I tell you what, you know, at the end of the day, people want great content that is affordable and accessible, simple. It's like he was saying, you know, like he watches everything now on YouTube, right? You know, but I can tell you what, even streaming platforms are beginning to do live coverage. In America, and I think in Europe, you can watch the Premiership on Amazon Prime now. Yeah. Did you know that? Paramount Plus, you can watch the NFL, even on Apple TV Plus, you can actually watch NHL. So, you know what I'm saying? All of this stuff is streaming, you know, that kind of thing. So, I think that, again, you know, the opportunity is there for people, developers here to come together. Now, to respond to what you were saying, you know, the best developers are here. Some of us in tech community might know, next month, Amazon has put out information on their LinkedIn saying they're coming to poach developers, and they're giving a time and a date. And they're going to relocate them to the UK, to Canada, and to the US. It's out there. We're not hiding it. They are coming to have a job fair. They will interview developers, and the people that pass, they will take them away.
A friend has been leading a team of 20 developers for the last 4 months, working on Amazon platform to launch locally.
Exactly.
14 yesterday, they're wrapping up.
Exactly.
The next level for the job is why they're...
Exactly, because I know that Amazon Prime Nigeria is going to launch in September. So my point here is that, you know, there is no end-all and be-all. It's still unraveling. Yeah, so you know, really bold people, visionary developers, this is the time. You know, we are available. If you want to talk about media, let's come together and make it work. You know, there's nothing wrong if we build the next $1 trillion from Africa. It's possible. It is possible. All right.
Thank you very, very much. We've really, really had a good time. I guess everybody had a good time, right? I mean, we've gained something. The future of Africa is in our hands, and the sooner we take it seriously, instead of wasting time in complaining, we can achieve a lot. Do we all agree? It's beyond us, you know. I don't want to say we shouldn't vote. You can vote and all that, but if you don't vote, I mean, if you vote and you don't want to contribute to the growth of a country, it won't work. The future of this country with our children belongs to us. Thank you very much, our honorable speakers. Mr. Soji, thank you very much. I can imagine how hungry you are right now. You understand? You understand? Oh, he was eating well. Okay. So it's fine. It's fine. We know how to deal with it. Mr. Chimdi, thank you very much. Mr. Chimdi have been working throughout this week. Mr. Soji has been on leave, actually. He traveled abroad. He just came back. Yeti, thank you for the short notice. Mr. Obina, thank you for the short notice, and you came to make this work. Thank you very much. Really appreciate you guys, the speakers, everybody that came on the short notice. Thank you guys very much. We are not ended here. If you are here, say yeah. We're not ended here. We have something else coming up, but let's all round of applause for our speakers. Round of applause, please.
Like we said, this will be a monthly thing.
Yes, monthly.
So we would like our panelists here to keep on engaging with us. I think what we're trying to do is a platform where we can have dialogue like this about the industry. Because if we don't talk about how to move the industry forward, we won't expect people from outside. I mean, you were outside of Nigeria, and it took a white person to ask Africans, is he a black guy? Okay. Yeah, I mean, so that is on Pan-African level, but locally also, we need to start talking, we need to start rubbing minds, we need to collaborate more. I think that should be the spirit right now. We need to work together, and not so much as competitors, but as collaborators. And I think that is the way to go. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. So this event has come to a close. Thank you all for coming in. Pictures. Please, this event happens, Creative Fridays happens every last Friday of a month. So keep it a date with Impact Hub Lagos. I hope you guys have filled the surveys that were given to you. Okay. All right, thank you very much. Our speakers, please, can you come forward, please? Our speakers, please, please, come forward, please, come forward. Come forward, please, come forward. Our speakers, please, come forward. This is a little, our speaker, this is a little token of appreciation for you coming over. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for coming over. Thank you very much. Moderator, I'll hold this for Mr. Soji. But thank you very much. Thank you. A round of applause for them again, please. Thank you all for coming. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah. Let me get her something to do. Have you cut? Oga, you don't cut? You don't kill her? Kill her now. I want to make one announcement. Africa Business Radio. Africa Business Radio. Yeah. You don't kill her.